Okay, welcome back to another episode of Third and 23. I'm your host, Alex, here to bring you another off-season video. We're going to talk college football. If you guys haven't heard or if you haven't seen, the preseason coaches poll, the top 25 preseason coach poll has came out. When the poll comes out, I always like to see teams that I think are overrated, overranked, and then look for opportunities for some underplays on over-under win totals in terms of in terms of wins. So in this video, I'm going over three teams where I think they're overranked, overrated, and I think there's an opportunity, at least one case for sure, where an underplay is an underplay on their total wins can be made. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna start things off with the Miami Hurricanes. So Miami's coming into the season preseason ranked number 10. Now, when I was looking at Miami months ago, in my mind already I knew Miami's going to regress. They had one of the top offenses in the country last year. They lose the number one overall, the number one ranked, the number one draft pick in Cam Ward at quarterback. They lose some very experienced, in my opinion, underrated wide receivers, Jacoby George and Xavier Restrepo. They lose their running back, Damian Martinez. So they lost a lot of pieces from last year's offense. And then they go into the portal to replace those guys. They get Carson Beck. I know Cam Ward was a transfer too, but now they're going into the portal again and getting another transfer quarterback in Carson Beck. He's not as good as Cam Ward. Carson Beck is coming off of a dud of a year where he was on a better team in Georgia, better players around him, and a better football program. And now he's going to transfer to Miami and expected to, bounce back? I'm not so sure about that, particularly when he's going to have brand new receivers, right? He doesn't know these guys. And these guys don't know Miami's system because they went into the portal and got 3 new wide receivers. So there's going to be a lot of chemistry issues, I think, in the passing game. At running back, they do have Mark Fletcher back, and I like Mark Fletcher. I think there's not really going to be a drop-off from Damian Martinez. But still, they were a two-headed monster last year. Now they need to find a running mate to be that second back. So with all that uncertain chemistry on offense, and then I look at the over-under win total of 9.5, preseason ranked number 10, something doesn't make sense here. Early on in the season, the first 4 weeks of the season, they go against Notre Dame at home in the opener, and then they go against Florida. All these offensive issues that I see, all these offensive chemistry issues that I see in the opener against an elite defense in Notre Dame, I don't think they're going to be resolved. I don't think they're going to be hitting on all cylinders by that point. So for me, Notre Dame, that looks like an L. I've talked about the Florida-Miami game in a previous video where I would do the line now is 3.5 last I looked. Florida's better than Miami at practically every single position. That to me is an L. So let's say, if you want to say non-conference, they go 0-2 and they lose to Notre Dame and Florida. To finish in the top 10 and to clear this over 9.5, that means they got to go 10-0 against the rest of the schedule. You think that this Miami team with these kind of with all this new turnover on the offensive side of the ball and in the secondary, we brought in 5 new defensive backs because they weren't that strong in the secondary last year, and they didn't get 5 Deion Sanders. They got 5, ho-hum guys. All of a sudden, this is going to be a 10-win football team, which is what they were last year. They're going to repeat that. I'm not so sure about that. And then when you look at their schedule, the second half of the schedule, they got a road game again at SMU. They were in the ACC title game last year. They got a road game against Virginia Tech. They got back-to-back road games, actually, Virginia Tech and Pitt to end the season. So those aren't national title contenders, but these are bowl teams. You're going to go, and before they play Virginia Tech, they got a home game against NC State, also a bowl team. They're probably going to be the best offenses in the ACC. So I'm looking at all these potential landmines, especially in the second half of the season, and I'm already predicting an 0-2 non-conference. This is, to me, I would bet this under 9.5. Miami's not winning 10 games. And Vegas sees it with the juice at plus 135 on the over. So this is an underplay to me. I would do this under. Miami is not a 10-win team, and they are not a top 10 team. Moving on, our next team I've also spoken about in a previous video is the Fighting Illini of Illinois. Now, this team is getting all sorts of buzz from all kinds of preseason prognosticators and magazines and all of that out there. I've seen anywhere from 8 to 15, and the coaches poll comes in, puts them at number 12. So Illinois last season won 10 games. That's a smoke and mirror 10-win season. If you look at their schedule and you say, man, who did they beat? They beat Purdue by a point. I think they gave 7 touchdowns to Purdue in that game. Purdue was trash last season. They beat a Michigan team. Okay, cool. They beat Michigan. Michigan couldn't throw the ball. So they beat Michigan. So they got some gifts in there. They're not going to get those same kind of gifts this season. This is a team from 2012 to 2023 had 1 winning season, an 8-win season. Now this is a top 15 football team based off of what? They bring back Luke Altmaier at quarterback. He's a mobile, scrappy, good quarterback. He's not a guy that you're going to see on Sundays, playing in the NFL. But I'll give it to him. He's a good mobile quarterback. But he lost his top 2 wide receivers, and one of them got drafted in the 3rd round. So was he making those receivers, or were those receivers making him? That's a question to be answered. I think I know the answer to that, though. And then at running back, I hate what they have in Lawfrey and Caden Fegan. You watch them play. These guys are what you would call ham and eggers, right? They're not explosive running backs. They're going to pile up the yards against Northwestern or something like that. But against real teams, they are not going to be an explosive, churn it out running game. I don't believe that. I think their defense is solid, but not elite enough to counteract the offensive, I don't want to say ineptitude, but certainly not a high scoring offense that you're going to see this season. So for me, number 12 is way too high, and Vegas sees it. Despite all the hype that Illinois has been getting from all these preseason magazines and so on, the over-under win total was set at 7.5. So, if you're top 15, this is a 8.5 at least, probably 9.5, right? They set it at 7.5. Now the juice is at 160 on the over, so I think they believe Illinois can hit 8 wins, and I think maybe they can hit 8 wins. I don't think Illinois is going to stink at all, but this is a 7 to 8 win season. This is one I mentioned in a previous video. I would not bet this line. I still would not bet this line. If this went up to 8.5 before the season started, I would take the under, because this is not a 9-win football team, and it's definitely not a top 15 ranked football team. So to me, Illinois, overrated. Moving on to the third and final game or final team, we have a pretty obvious one to me. I was pretty surprised to see this. It was BYU. BYU comes into the season ranked number 23 in the Coaches Poll. Now, over a month ago, I wouldn't even have BYU on here because I thought BYU was a Big 12 contender, so this would not bother me. Here we are. It's August 5th. Coaches Poll came out August 4th. BYU's ranked number 23. But their quarterback, Jake Retzlaff, left a month ago. Their Heisman candidate, he was going to have some Heisman buzz this year. Carried BYU last season. I know they won 10, 11 games, but there was a lot of battles in there, and the difference was Jake Retzlaff. He's gone. He leaves the program, and he left in the summer. He left after spring practice. So the backups are a bunch of unheralded, inexperienced guys that you don't know what they're going to get, and they haven't gotten first team reps until now. So that's pretty dangerous. I think that's kind of a death blow to any team's. It would be a death blow to any team's offense. Vegas sees that, and they dropped the win total from 8.5, which would have made sense to me, down to 6.5. Now BYU has somewhat of an easy schedule, manageable schedule, but when you've got no proven quarterback, you got to expect this offense to take a major step back across the board. I know that LJ Martin is a good running back, but boxes are going to be stacked against him this season if the quarterbacks can't stretch the defense. So to me, in Vegas, juiced it at minus 130. This is a potential underplay to me. This could be a 6-6 football team, or worse if they don't get any productive quarterback play. You really don't know what you're getting out of these QBs because you haven't really ever seen any of them play. I would probably stay away from it, but if you wanted to sprinkle some dollars down on an under 6.5, I wouldn't be mad at you, because if this is poor quarterback play, they're going to lose a lot of football games this season. But so anyways, that wraps it up. 3 teams that I think are overrated. One for sure underplay I would do is the under 9.5 on Miami. The Canes are not winning 10 games, and there's no hate against the Canes. I picked them to win the ACC last year. They choked to Syracuse at the end of the season. So that's just, it is what it is, how I see it. But if you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe, all of that. As you continue to see more off-season videos, we're almost there. We're almost at the start, at least of the college football season. We still got about a month to go for the NFL. Take care.